There's something different happening in the animes of 2024. Two works in particular caught my attention, not just for the action or animation, but for a disturbing message about modern work. In Chainsaw Man, where Denji literally sells his body and life for, well, a normal job. On the other hand, in 100 Things to Do Before Becoming a Zombie, our protagonist genuinely prefers a zombie apocalypse to continuing his corporate routine. And you know what's more disturbing? We perfectly understand these characters. In the 80s, Maison Ikkoku depicted daily life and the struggles faced by characters during the economic miracle. In the 90s, with the economic bubble, works like Salaryman Kintaro already showed the first cracks in this facade. In the 2000s, Hataraki Man began to openly expose burnout and the human cost of this culture. Now we have young protagonists who see literal work as a form of modern slavery. And we not only watch, but also identify with them. What intrigues me is not just this evolution of society, but something I noticed while watching these animes recently. The more brutal the criticisms of excessive work become, the more popular they get. And here lies the irony I can't ignore. These powerful critiques of labor exploitation are created by an industry known for exploiting its workers. And perhaps more importantly, how we turn our anxieties into entertainment. Welcome to the channel Anime Complex. Hey, hold on a second. Before we dive into our amazing content, I need a quick favor. Smash that like button and hit subscribe, or YouTube won't let me compete with Mr. Beast. Seriously, every like and subscribe helps me bring you more epic content. So, show you're an awesome human. Smash that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now let's get into the video. When we laugh at the absurd situations that Denji accepts or Akira's preference for a zombie apocalypse, something deeper is happening. Our identification with these characters goes beyond humor. It touches on a modern problem that in Japan. There is a phenomenon so severe it has its own name. Karoshi, literally death from overwork. This is not a metaphor or exaggeration. The Japanese government keeps official statistics on people who die from heart attacks, strokes, and even suicides, all caused by work exhaustion. In 2019, they attempted to implement laws limiting overtime, just a band-aid on a cultural hemorrhage that includes pressure to never leave before the boss, mandatory meetings after hours, and the culture of enduring the unbearable without complaint. It is in this context that Chainsaw Man and 100 Things to Do Before Becoming a Zombie gain a disturbing dimension. Have you noticed such a parallel? Just like in other videos on the channel, where we discuss how audiences resist the evolution of characters like Kratos and Guts, wanting them to remain unchanged, or when we analyze in Pluto how we empathize with robots suffering while remaining indifferent to real people in similar situations. Videos you can check out here on the channel. When Denji literally agrees to sell his body and humanity for a normal job, accepting Mikima's manipulations and being treated as inferior by Aki, we see a distorted yet honest reflection of how much people in the real world are willing to sacrifice for survival. Akira views a zombie apocalypse as a preferable alternative to his corporate life. It's a cry of despair masked as comedy, one that many of us understand deeply. After all, how many of us would prefer anything over a terrible job? Through exaggeration and absurdity, they express how we normalize increasingly extreme levels of exploitation, how we turn our own exhaustion into jokes, and how we accept the unacceptable in the name of survival. I often wonder what goes through an animator's mind while drawing Denji selling his body for work, as they themselves endure endless hours with increasingly tighter deadlines. Or how it feels to create scenes of Akira dreaming of escaping the office while barely seeing daylight in the animation studio. This dilemma is not new. Hideaki Anno used Evangelion to process his depression and alienation. But today, the franchise has become a merchandising machine. Satoshi Kon made brutally honest social critiques in Paranoia Agent. Yet he needed the studio system for his art to exist. It's always the same impossible choice. Create something entirely independent that few will see, or work within the system and watch your critique turn into a product. Artists process their own trauma through art while the system transforms this painful process into marketable entertainment. As viewers, we consume these critiques after our own exhausting workdays, feeding the very system being criticized. The reality of the anime industry is harsh, almost a perfect reflection of the critiques it produces. Beginner animators often complain about low salaries, harassment from bosses, and many need second jobs to survive. Even large and respected studios like MAPPA, responsible for Chainsaw Man, are constantly criticized for their intensive labor practices that it's as if the anime industry is producing critiques of exploitation through exploitation itself. Take Agretsuko, for example, an anime about an office worker dealing with burnout. Or Cyberpunk Edgerunners, where characters literally destroy themselves to survive in the system. Not much different from animators sacrificing their health to meet deadlines. But perhaps that's exactly why works like Chainsaw Man and 100 Things to Do Before Becoming a Zombie resonate so deeply with us. They are not just critiques of the system. They're cries from people trapped in the same cycle as us, evoking almost subconscious empathy as we watch Denji slice up a demon or dream about breasts. That what's most disturbing is how we, as an audience, consume this cycle. We watch critiques of excessive work. After a grueling day at our jobs, we laugh at burnout. While experiencing burnout ourselves, we meme about depression, normalizing it. It's not that we don't understand the critique. On the contrary, when Akira says he prefers zombies to another day in the office, we not only understand but feel it deeply. When Denji accepts any condition just to have a normal life, we recognize that desperation. The question is, what do we do with this understanding? I wonder if turning everything into entertainment is our own escape valve. Or do we simply accept that nothing can be done against this system? Watching Agretsuko have a breakdown at karaoke is more fun than examining our own limits. Perhaps that's why these works are so successful now. It's not just because they're well made. They speak to a symptom of modern society. The major exploiters of this system know that little changes, both for the artists they criticize and for the audience. We applaud the courage of these works in denouncing labor exploitation while silently accepting that same exploitation in our lives. It's almost as if the more aware we become of the problem, the better we get at living with IT.so. What do we do with all this? This isn't a rhetorical question. It haunts me every time I watch these works. Is there a way to appreciate these critiques without participating in the normalization they denounce? It's curious how we started discussing two anime from 2024 and ended up reflecting on how we process our own relationship with work. We transform critique into entertainment, suffering into memes, and despair into merchandise. But maybe that's exactly why these works are important. Not despite being within the system, but because they use the system itself to make us question it. The true power of these stories lies not in their explicit critiques, but in how they reveal our own complicity with what they criticize. And perhaps, just perhaps, recognizing this complicity is the first step toward beginning to change it. After all, if these works teach us anything, it's that normalizing the absurd doesn't make it any less absurd. It just makes us more skilled at ignoring it. Thank you for watching.